My name's Hayden, and I work in industrial rope access and abseiling.
That sounds pretty scary. What's the most terrifying job you've been on then?
Without question, Shard.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was working on the Shard from I think October 2011. I was on it for 3 months, and that was a bitterly cold winter.
What made that job so scary? What?
Well, obviously the height, the magnitude of that building is quite awe-inspiring anyway.
So what are you actually having to do then on that?
Well, we were fitting at the time. We were putting in the windows, and just the height. I mean, just the exposure at that altitude. You've got wind factor. You've got serious temperature drop, and it was well below freezing anyway. It was just unpleasant. It was just absolute purgatory.
Where were the ropes fixing? And
the ropes were fixed up about 3 or 4 stories above us. We were working on I think it was the 50th floor.
Whoa!
50th story.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Dropping things, or falling. Obviously, is the worst thing that can happen.
So,
but the thing that I'm most paranoid about is dropping something. And these buildings here are all footprinted on existing sites in London, so everything has to come into a really short, confined space, and then just be hoisted directly vertically.
Right.
So,
how much did anything ever fall off then when you were?
Yes, there's things falling off these buildings all the time.
Really?
It's basically there's people are dropping screwdrivers and nuts and washers and pound coins. There's like metal rain coming off these buildings all the time. If you look up at these buildings, and there's hundreds of them going up at the moment, on all of the floors, which are all exposed, they build the core first, usually the lift shafts, and then as many stories as they can get on top of that. There'll be safety railings all the way around, so that each floor is then made safe for the workers that are on it.
Right.
But each piece of metal fencing is about I'd say about 1.5 meters by 1 meter tall, made of mesh steel. The guy that I was working with, we went up to sort the ropes up, for the next drop, and we were told to go up and sort these ropes out by our immediate superior. And the foreman of the site, or of our area, said that we couldn't go up there for whatever reason. I can't remember if it was a weather thing. It was very cold and windy. And anyway, we got kind of told by our immediate boss, no, you've got to go up and sort these ropes out because we need it for the next drop tomorrow. As the ropes were coming down from the anchor point that I was fixing, he was then removing the safety barrier to pull the ropes up and through, which is an absolute no-no. There's nothing but fresh air for 50 floors. And people working below, and London Bridge Station below. Anyway, I carried on doing what I was doing. I just heard, oh fuck! And I turned around, and there's just this gap in the fence, and there's this guy, and he's looking at me, and his eyes were just like saucers, and I just knew immediately what happened.
So what? He dropped the whole thing?
He dropped the whole fence, so it was about
off 50 stories?
Off 50 stories, yeah.
What?
I know, there's just going to be 1 person dead, 2 people. Did it land in the street? But yeah, he just, as luck had it, he managed to drop it in one of the places where these wing walls came together, and then there was a vertical channel for this thing to drop into. And it managed to land in the one part of the building site where there was currently no work going on. So he ran down to see what would happen. Next thing, I'm getting a phone call saying, right, Hayden, did you see what just happened? And this is from the people that I was working for directly. And I said, yeah, I saw all of it. Well, I didn't see him drop it, but I was there and I saw what happened. He said, does anybody else up there? Has anybody else witness to it? I said, no, I don't think so. And he says, right, now this is what's happened. This is your story. And they gave me, so this, I haven't even gone down to the floor yet. And then I've got top brass telling me what I saw, what I didn't see. And listen, if anyone's dead or dying down there, I'm not incriminating myself in your story just to cover your ass. As luck had it, nobody was hurt.
God, do you imagine they were going to ask you to lie if someone had died? I mean, that's nuts.
You get a lot of gung-ho kind of idiocy as well, and I'd far rather have a healthy respect stroke fear. There's nothing wrong. I mean, people say, oh, you're scared of heights. Everybody is scared of heights. It's like saying, oh, you're phobic of, being shot in the face. Falling 50 stories is generally considered quite detrimental to your health. So I wouldn't consider that a fear, to be honest. I think that's just probably a good natural instinct.
I mean, actually, you know, when we're walking around London and all these skyscrapers are out there is literally stuff falling off on a regular basis.
There's stuff falling out of people's pockets. There's people tripping over and kicking bits of rubble, and you know, it stands to, if you think about it, you think about the actual law of averages and practicalities of trying to. I mean, how many times you drop something in your
I know, well,
you know. So
I'm amazed. I mean, I haven't heard of anyone getting killed from stuff falling off a skyscraper. How does that not happen?
I don't know. You know, the health and safety. I mean, people whinge on about health and safety, specifically in the building trade, because it can stifle you, and you know, sometimes you know, it gets in the way of common sense. But really, it is there for a reason, and the standard in Britain is pretty amazing. And when I was on the Shard, when we came in, you have to do an induction on every building site you work on. And this guy, when we were doing the Shard one, I remember him, he was quite a nice old bloke, he was this old Irish guy. And he said, look lads, I know you've all heard this stuff 1,000 times, but bear this in mind, there were more men killed in the British building industry last year than there were in Afghanistan.
That's quite a sobering thought.
It was a sobering thought, and it made everybody sort of sit up and go, Jesus, really? And again, law of averages, and you know, there's a great deal many more people working in construction than there are British forces in Afghanistan, but it did make you pay attention. It got my attention.
I always like to ask my passengers what their favourite place in London is, seeing as you're in a London black cab.
My favourite place in London? If I was ever taking my friends or family that have never been, I'd normally walk down the South Bank. Yeah. Show them a bit of culture.
There's always something going on the South Bank.
Yeah, go and grab a beer, and they've got all the vistas, and they've got all the landmarks there. It's an easy day out for me, basically.
It is. I agree. It's always a pleasant stroll along the South Bank, isn't it? Well, can I say, Hayden, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you very much for taking part in the Gentleman Cabbie.
My pleasure, sir.
Thanks for watching the Gentleman Cabbie. Click the videos to see more great interviews, and don't forget to subscribe.